like the name of the version of course like current episode that it would definitely be like as that the ultimate like championship final that we can have and the Orlando Brewers will be taking place in like this kind of episode like the scenario that I'm looking at. As for like the battle between Ash and Leon, I'm still in the magic celebration for like the whole like it that whole battle like spanning over like 10 almost like 10 of like a whole three episodes with like the scenario that I'm looking at. But like I'm looking still and I was going to be only after that, like suppose those like Freud new mission would be like have would be like these own like the scenarios that I'm looking to and then considering like for like while I'm working like the active beyond that is to like take the spans across like three episodes, that three whole episodes and everything like in the case of like the Freud new mission to like the ultimate final mission to like capture me like I'm looking that to like probably the at least like at the bare minimum if we put in like both like first mission would be that the double of that at that like or like I'm looking like at least 6 episodes on the different would be like those first mission would be standing over at least 6 episodes until like towards like the end of like the 6 episode like go finding capturing new or like I'm looking it will be like so that will be performing the best in that final raid battle against new and then still like new repeating on the in that raid battle and even go and then a new like softly at that point choosing goals to be straight up and that way go capturing you. It will be like one of his this is like the scenario that I'm also going as like how go we finally capturing you like the scenario that I'm using. And I'm also going like fixed episodes will be like that's the bare minimum for like goes like journey, final journey to like capture the minimum frame and definitely I'm referring before capturing new like I'm referring like go and resolve fraud on and the other side of that needed of you and Gary and all of them. Definitely before them finding new like they would only running into like Regigigas like equivalent scenario that is something on when in that raid battle again like the Regigigas and that looking for like the scenario to be like go performing like the worst among all the other phases and like I'm referring like go even getting spotted by so he just like also like the scenario that I'm like and like go be performing like the worst in that real battle against like ridiculous like scenario that I'm looking and I'm looking it to be carry that in that real battle we perform the best and even capturing that ridiculous like the scenario that I'm looking and that also like goes like a spotlight and goes like time to shine only happening in the final real battle. After that, like eventually this will be happening towards like the towards like maybe like the sixth episode or is like the scenario that I'm for example like I'm referring like they would be only finally fighting me and in that red battle against like that red battle against me when like those would be finally getting spotted and those will be like outshining all the remaining chasers and Cherogi as well as like Asatu like would be all in that red battle like in that red battle would be when like they would be like performing the best it's like the and getting that before like the scenario that I'm looking at. Even before like that raid battle will be happening and also like after like becoming like the champion. Definitely I'm looking like as will be defeating Leon and becoming the champion. And I'm looking like in that championship battle definitely I'm looking like in that championship battle against Leon like those Afton was Roland still remember 20 that Afton will be okay like making Ash all of a sudden like making Ash feel lonely and like insecure like most likely and nervous like the scenario that I'm living like with like go like just now splitting away from Ash and leaving process like frightening and like I'm doing like this and then night before like the championship battle of Ash against Leon like Ash will be like totally stressing out totally working and totally stressing out all by himself is like the scenario that I'm delivering and Ash will be like still remember the meeting of like Ash like totally as like the next day as like as to be stepping into like space like might already like Leon actually like walking towards that battle in an upper manner because like as with only overthinking and stepping out and being objective about just what if as to do those basically would be along the lines like as to be totally overthinking like scenarios that I'm doing and that as like as to be not you stepping towards like the stage like I'm doing like that is happening of like at getting the biggest surprise, which will be like at hearing cheering noises from that familiar voice, and that will be from like I'm going to bring like the majority of like Ash's like either all or like the majority of like Ash's like rival partners from all like the previous all or like the majority of the previous generation from Brock and Steve like all the this arena and like all the all or like majority of travel partners basically all of them is present in that phase in that among the audience and them totally cheering us on if the scenario that I'm playing and seeing them will be giving has that courage and that confidence at that point to that face of against Leon is also in the scenario that I'm not also my Korean version for in just like that against Leon. Still think remember that the first Pokemon that Leon will be sending out would be most likely Leon Eternal just like the scenario that I'm referring. I'm referring Eternal just totally straight away defeating the first three Pokemon of Ash the scenario that I'm referring. Still think about that. It will be the fourth Pokemon of Ash that will be finally defeating Eternal just the scenario that I'm referring. So and I'm also putting among and I'm also putting definitely Ash's first Pokemon in Ash battle against Leon that actually sending out against Eternal. This also putting would be definitely Raikou. Raikou is actually the Pokemon in as current six-member team Raikou being the uh, only absolute killer Pokemon. New killer Pokemon, but even Surface is related to in a way related to perfect from critical season. Definitely, I'm going to bring it will be Michael should have to be getting the least spotlight in battle against Leon. Final chance to battle against Leon. So I'm looking the first spot on that as well. He's setting out against Leon's tournament is being Draco and Draco is getting that minimum spotlight. That scenario that I'm looking and Eternal is Draco is not being able to do much at all against Eternal matches and Draco is straight away getting defeated. And then I'm going to bring is setting out just Dragonite and Dragonite as well. But I was going with as of experience with fighting against Eternal at that point. I was playing Draco. I mean that Dragonite doing better than Draco in battle against Eternal. Still Dragonite as well getting defeated by Eternal. The scenario in the scenario that I'm looking for. And then as for the third Pokemon that actually is setting I'm also going it will be either Gengar or Surface the scenario that I'm looking for. So Bangsapan regardless of whether it's Gengar or Surface that the the Pokemon that actually receiving amplifying that Pokemon as well performing even better than as its Dragonite and Dragoid and and that the third Pokemon of actually amplifying doing certain extent of damage six levels of damage to Eternatus before as well getting defeated by Eternatus the scenario that I'm looking. So regardless of the fourth Pokemon and the Gengar or Surface I'm looking it would be the fourth Pokemon of that will be finally defeating Eternatus and I'm looking the fourth Pokemon of defeating Eternatus without any struggle at all. By then Eternatus would have gone since weekend by the first three Pokemon of Ash, the scenario that I'm looking. So the fourth Pokemon of Ash already defeating Eternatus and I'm going to bring the fourth Pokemon of Ash not only defeating Eternatus but also would be defeating one more Pokemon of Leon's the scenario that I'm looking. Before that fourth Pokemon of Ash is getting defeated. Then the scenario that I'm looking and definitely I'm going to bring as well as the sixth Pokemon of Ash would definitely be the career and Pikachu the scenario that I'm looking and definitely I'm going to bring Pikachu as championship final battle against Leon. I'm going to this Pikachu as Pikachu that would be getting the maximum for and I'm looking as it would be as Lucario, a Pokemon from all the way back from the Bob generation that will be getting the second highest spotlight and important in that final challenge that Leon, especially the screen scenario that I'm able to bring in. So I'm looking in the case of Lucario as well as Pikachu, I'm also bring Lucario taking out as for how Ash will be compensating by then I'm also bring uh like with with Leon having great number of remain Pokemon and those specifically, I'm going to it will be at that point that four remaining Pokemon that Leon would be having, while the case of it would be just Lucario and Pikachu that's in the ring, and I'm looking Lucario taking out two of Leon's Pokemon, and then Pikachu as well taking out two of Leon's final two Pokemon as well, and that final Pokemon of Leon being Charizard. And I was referring regardless of whether Ash or Leon sending out his Charizard and for to even before them both ending up being down to their last position, even if like either Ash or like Leon or both of them like sent out their chapter or ticket to like even before like they both come down to like are left with their last position. Regardless of that, like I'm going it would be one only one but it to be like only one like as both as and Leon would be down to their last final Pokemon. It should be like ticket to and chapter. What I'm looking like it was only at that point that like both Ash as well as like Leon would be like Gigantamax their Pokemon like Leon like Gigantamax chapter Leon's chapter Gigantamaxing as well as like has like pretty good either Gigantamaxing or Dynamaxing. So like whichever one it will be. So like I'm looking that only happening when both as well as like they only be down to the last Pokemon. It's like the scenario that I'm looking for the three and Michael Ceramic. And it would be with like Ash like Pikachu specifically like Leon's like Gigantamax chapter that like I'm looking that in the scenario where like has to be minded debating Leon is like still in the scenario that I'm looking for and Ceramic. So that we have to take them as a ambition that like go after like eventually capturing you like about that so that won't be having much of a delay in that basically setting up such like new goal and which numbers of like would be most likely to capture to then capture like new so the new information. That would be the point where like so, and that would be finding like marking ways in like permanently marking ways in their journey. It's like the scenario that I'm referring. And at that point, I'm still thinking about the machine that at that point, like Ash, the case of Ash, like Ash will be totally clueless and Ash will be totally deciding to like basically figure things out by heading back to like Pallet Town. It's like the scenario that I'm in. So like Ash heading back to like Pallet Town while Go will be like once again setting off on this like next but like this like next goal bit and that will be to like capture new to is like the scenario that I'm just a little bit and I'm kind of preferring like go eventually not only capturing that Mewtwo in like the different ages, but like also since like Mewtwo have like two like mega evolutions, like I'm preferring like go like basically getting that mega stone of that either getting a single mega stone or like maybe go getting both the mega stones for like both the different evolutions of that Mewtwo. So also like a kind of like a possibility that I'm doing and definitely I'm preferring that like though eventually and then those different like in the distant future like go and that's once again like running into each other in like the distant future like the scenario that I'm looking and at that point like go totally showing off as just like Mewtwo and Ash at that point will be totally top and up right with like so and it would be like would be totally happy for Go that like he has achieved that goal as well. It's like during the scenario that I'm looking and at that point like I and might want to like that have a fight against like have a battle against both like Liverpool and at that point I was like would be when like maybe as would be like totally finding out that it will go as for not only achieving like the goal of capturing music but like also like the fact that like go would be by then like allowed like even got the mega stone as well for like the unfortunate like move and maybe like as having to like Pokemon battle like maybe it would be like as like Pikachu versus like a mega Mewtwo X or Y. It's like the Indian scenario that I was alone for so like them having a battle such a battle in like the recent future is also like an eventual computer box scenario that I'm looking for like another still speaking the members in the ambition that like eventually once like Ash would be that usually I'm definitely putting Ash to like defeat Leon and once like Ash would be defeating Leon like even after like defeating Leon like kind of and Ash finally achieving his goal and being like the ultimate champion like ultimate Pokemon champion like then I'm also putting like Ash not even spending much time at all but just like ex-travel partners just like friends like Brock, Mystique and like Serena and all of that all are like in the majority of it like ex-travel partners who will be right there like and would be like wanting to like so badly wanting to like spend time with like Ash like I'm still like I'm just like the scenario where like Ash telling them that like he has to like hurry and he has to like probably he has to like urgently go somewhere and he has to hurry and basically that way like Ash not even at all like spending much time with them at all and Ash straight away running off to find Go and basically to support Go like I'm looking like actually like not spending much time at all but with all of his like friends is like the scenario that I was referring so like that way as rushing off and usually by the time Ash would be like making it towards Go like I'm looking like not like they Go will be like having his like Ash will be finding Go by the time like I should be finding gold, like I'm looking like Go will be most likely in that like raid battle against like Ridiculous where like Go will be performing like the worst. So like I'm looking like at that point like I'm totally witnessing that from like the sidelines, like the scenario that I'm okay. And I'm looking then like at totally really trying to like comfort Go and all that is like and to like give Go that confidence and cheer up Go and all that like the scenario that I'm looking and so like then as traveling along with that Go and as well as like the other chasers and like the proximity and like I'm like even while Go we had like this like final like raid battle along with like the other players against like news and even at that point like I was looking like I'm story like being presented like the silence and cheering on a supporting goal is like the scenario that I'm looking over something and that's the like the name of the Korean vision right now that is released is that once again like the Pokemon World Championship news like I'm looking like and then just like the news once again, like I'm going to like the second half of that episode, I'm going to bring you once again like the whole Team Rocket Run Pokemon release of like the scenario that I'm going to and I've got like the first half of like the episode I'm going to bring it. It was most like the journey of Leon. Like I'm looking like I believe like in the news like I'm looking like the news was showing like the journey of Leon. Like I'm looking like how Leon had became like the this like undefeated champion. Like I'm looking like the first championship like Lee with Mr. Lag and Leon had basically participated and basically for like the first time Leon becoming the champion like basically Leon's journey in that championship tournament like would be what I'm looking for right now to be shown is just what I'm looking for to be shown in this like current Pokemon World Championship news that made of the so and they bring like in that news like I'm looking like that news showing like footages of like Leon's journey in that Leon's like very first championship battle in which like Leon had became like champion for the first time. And back then like Leon might have been so extremely young and might have been like a child, like even younger than Ash back then. It's definitely one of the trained option. So definitely like even back then I was looking like his books might have been like Leon and like even back then Leon might have want using his like Charizard mainly like it might have been Leon like Charizard that might have done like the majority of like the work in not to make Leon back then like reach like the position of like becoming like first undefeated champion. That's definitely my very impressive. So then back then Leon might have been like he might have been like even younger than us still might have had been able to that Gigantamax structure, but it's definitely not looking very impressive. So, and I'm also bring back definitely that alone is what I'm also bringing to shown about Leon in like the Pokemon World Championship news right now, like the scenario that I'm also bringing. But like in the case of Ash, like I'm also bring back the case of Ash, I'm also bring like it will be like the news I'm also bring like since like already like the news about Ash was like shown as like Ash being this like rookie in this it's like master rate and all that like basically it seems like along this line like the news about account that it had over against them like anything maybe right now right now I'm also for like more details like about like Ash's like each of like Ash's like six Pokemon current six Pokemon team like each of those Pokemon like they are told best performance in like so far in like Ash's journey to like make it towards like the master stage like basically so far in that journey like each of like Ash's member Pokemon currently that their best performance and like might be footages of like their best best performance of like just I think the current Pokemon would be like this what I'm delivering would be most likely shown in that new like the scenario that I'm also delivering and my contribution. But like in the case of Leon, I'm like and nothing about like other than like Leon's chapter and the different like and none of like the other Pokemon of in like Leon's game and probably not being shown at all. In like the current news like the scenario that I'm probably like and my favorite thing like in the current Pokemon World Championship news like it will be only like in the case of Leon it will be only like footages of like the battle performance of Leon like Charizard and the Gigantamax Charizard alone that would be shown like the on the counter race like the scenario that I'm bringing like the name of the reimbursement right now, I feel like the people doing like the whole Pokemon World Championship news, like giving so much of like a spotlight right now and importance to like the Masters 8 to like each of like the eight trainers of like the Masters 8 when they're currently them having absolutely no relevance because of like them all having been defeated and like eliminated from like the Masters 8 and with like right now like the current situation in like the current situation like them not having any relevance and they believe like in like the current situation it's just Ash and Leon alone that's like remaining and like since like the current situation is also that like with like Ash and Leon battle about to like it's has been seen like basically yet like for them in such a situation like not prioritizing giving attention and spotlight to like specifically to like Ash and Leon alone and instead like them talking like talking about the other trainers in like the master stage when in like the current situation like all the remaining six trainers in like the master stage not having any relevance because of like them having this eliminated like yet for like the news anchors like right now in like the Pokemon World Championship news like talking about like the remaining six like members of the master stage might have been like a mistake on their part especially my considering and corruption right now. So like the name of the preemption right now is that basically like the news anchors like basically doing like the whole current Pokemon World Championship news repeat them doing like the review of like the Master Race battle of like the semi-final battle of like Ash and Leon like basically before doing their whole news review of the Ash and Leon like semi-final battle like and their intent might have been to like basically do the review in such a way so that like basically since like the Master Race currently it's not fully over since like the Master Race is still ongoing and still with like Leon and Ash alone being like the remaining contestants like participants of like the Master Race that still are yet to like go against each other for like that ultimate showdown or final battle but with like all the remaining six trainers including the ones who faced Ash and Leon had faced off in like the semi-finals the entire as well as India have gotten eliminated with like the current situation. So like especially because of this like even if, by reviewing like the semi-final battles of like Ash and Leon like to give like the focus of like doing that reviews will like only give the focus on like the two trainers that still have a relevance in like the present situation, like the Master Chief might have been that specifically as and Leon might have been with the intent that like I'm remembering that the news anchors might have started off their whole Pokemon World Championship news review of like the semi-final battles of like Ash and Leon. But like I'm remembering like soon after they might have began their review, they might have totally got sidetracked and might have and that might be the reason for like them right now totally giving so much importance to that basically Dianta as well as like Cynthia's like performance in their first semi-final. Uh, two of those eliminate two of them who are like also currently eliminated and have like absolutely no relevance in like the current situation like the Pokemon World Championship uh, like finals like basically like Dianta and Cynthia like basically like like kind of like detailing out about how about and giving focus and spotlight to like the end of battle performance against like Leon as well as along the lines and then even saying how the end was like the first person to like stop G Max Leon's like G Max shots like ultimate fire attack as well as like right now with like the end of giving focus and spotlight and detailing out how Cynthia just without calling a move like basically just by saying go ahead Cynthia's spirit of using the destiny zone attack and that showing that Cynthia like Shazar Kevin and Cynthia already predicted having predicted such a situation and all that basically the commentators the news center giving so much importance Cynthia who's currently an eliminated trainer from the Masters 8 currently having absolutely no importance with the upcoming situation being Leon as well as Ash alone remaining and about to have their master phase. So basically the news anchor might have thoroughly gotten sidetracked and basically thoroughly might have gotten sidetracked and ended up giving focus to trainers in the semifinals that have totally gotten eliminated uh, basically and have no relevance in the current situation the master wave in the NBA. That might have been what might have happened is definitely one of the things right now. Might have remember since the news anchors might have totally messed up with their current Pokemon World Championship news where they might have actually originally intended to give all that relevance and focus and importance and spotlight to each of the eliminated trainers of the Masters Day during the whole Pokemon World the current year's Pokemon World Championship Masters Day battle tournament review after like the entire like the master phase was like over. Might have been their actual official intent, but like as they started off like giving their review and their initial original intent might have been to like give uh, to in like the current Open World Championship news like to only give importance to like Ash and Leon alone, but like I'm looking at they began their whole current like news review of like the semi-final performance of like um, Ash and Leon in like the Master Phase like and they might have probably got a sidetrack might have been and gave instead like gave might have ended up giving all that focus and importance to like Dianta and Cynthia might have been what might have happened. Certainly remember the mission right. Like sort of name I was trying to think about Brian mentioned that like in like Cynthia's battle against like the decision of Cynthia to like to use her gimmick of like dynamic for her target instead of like basically like mega evolving her face graph in like Cynthia fight against like as my daughter will give gold to and out of like Cynthia for confidence because like the situation while Cynthia had dynamics of targets was exactly the situation where like Ash was like down to his like last Pokemon with the other it's the same as in the emergency. Like Cynthia Blatter might have totally like assumed that basically that like she's like totally going to like we would be able to like defeat that, especially with like Lucario by then like was like struggling again, had struggled again like at Tokyo like even if at turn has like Lucario to that Mega Lucario still that it simply wouldn't be able to like win against like the combined strength of like both like the Dynamax Circuit as well as like was like Archon as well remaining like India might have only assume that basically even if like Lucario Mega actually like Mega Lucario from actually and Mega evolved to like Lucario and like if even if next to Mega Lucario even somehow manages to that even defeat that Tokyo the Dynamax Circuit still definitely Gapchon would be that still by then like as like Mega Lucario would be like totally like exhausted so that like Gapchon would be easily able to like steal the victory by easily defeating like the Mega Lucario might have been along the lines of like an overconfidence like Cynthia might have had back then, especially with the mentioned, especially because of like Gapchon being like Cynthia's like ace Pokemon and since like so Mega evolving Cynthia like ace Pokemon would be like what allows Cynthia to be her most strongest self, which definitely might be the impression. So that Cynthia might only felt to basically give the audience like a total visual treat, like totally out of like Cynthia's confidence because of like Cynthia already having Mega evolved Garchomp in the initial fight in like the Master Race against like Iris, like Cynthia might have only as Ambassador like according to like Cynthia from Cynthia's point of view, Cynthia might not only straight away even before even batting at like after like her victory against like Cynthia might not only felt that basically they might have like Cynthia and then looking for Cynthia even taking the decision to like retire might have been something that like Cynthia might have taken after her as soon as her battle against like her definitely was because like Cynthia even since like Cynthia was like an teaser of like I was like Cynthia might have only had that or confidence while stepping into like the master phase bat to bat against Iris definitely when the same reason. But like I'm looking like like Iris was like in that battle it was like Iris was like Haxorus like even holding its own against like even like the mega ultimate like ace mega jump of like India like so like that might not usually shock India. The fact that like I was like facing had sort of was able to like hold its own like against like the mega jump of like India might have been totally a shocking surprise for India definitely member friends and might be the reason for like India even like ensuring to like going to the extreme extent of like basically trying to like seize the victory from Iris without letting, without allowing Iris to like use like the remove of to even call out the remove of like the hackers of like uh the hackers of like Iris definitely was a brand because like Cynthia might have only cleared at that point that since like hackers was already holding its own against like the mega of like Cynthia like if like hackers even uses like the remove then that will be it for like that might be it for like India and like Madagascar might have been like along like the lines of like the fear that India might have had until that at that point because like I'm considering by then like India might not only had like a feeling that basically that Iris that gimmick that Iris might have planned to like use in her card like and Cynthia might have been like the remote definitely my intention. Cynthia might have figured that out by like it's definitely I could reimburse to definitely because like situations like even like with like the battle between like the final battle between like I think like between like Hacksaw versus like Negagarden even going on and basically till even then like since like Iris didn't like Dynamax or Dynamax was or like Hacksaw like example and like Iris might out only and since like Hacksaw doesn't have like a mega evolution that's not different that definitely they might have only came to the conclusion that Hacksaurus versus like Megadapton fight, like they might have straight away came to like the conclusion that it would definitely be specifically female that would be like the gimmick that I would be planning on using against Cynthia. And so like from Cynthia's point of view, Cynthia might have been that absolute shock that like Cynthia's like assumption like totally backfiring. That like Cynthia would definitely be defeating Iron like totally might not only backfire on Cynthia, but like I have just like expecting performance in her battle against Cynthia. So like Cynthia eventually might have feared at the moment like to do him as like a teaser, like totally goes into her student Iris. And another thing like rather than that making Cynthia feel proud like another thing for Cynthia like it might have been head of course like an extreme insecurity within Cynthia, like getting to her student just you know with rainbow to totally ensure that that doesn't happen. Like they might have like ensure to like basically like make Negada from not allow like Iris to like use her gimmick of like the hacker of Zemo and like instead of like boldly facing like the Zemo of like actor of like Cynthia might have like totally might have been like consumed with that absolute fear of like listening to Iris that like Cynthia might have like ensure to like basically not allow Iris to sort of like use the like use the hack sort of like Remo might have been what might have happened. Definitely remember and other than that, even though India won that fight against like Iris at that point might have been when like India might have realized that basically the new generation like Iris is like new generation is like far uh like way more potential that India might have expected and like India might have felt at that point that basically like India in her current levels of skills and everything. Like Cynthia might have been seeing herself as like having reached like the pinnacle of like her limits of friends. So like I'm like strength and skills in like Pokemon battle and everything. So like Cynthia might have really felt that like the new generation, like the generation of like all this like too much potential that basically India might have only felt that like Cynthia might have decided that like she'd rather retire through this like very championship itself, like by dedicating like the like by listening to like Leon, like they might have decided to like literally retire after like listening to like Leon because like from your point of view, India might have totally might have not had the confidence of like ever being able to like defeat like undefeated Leon, definitely with ranges like India's plan might have been to that put like an exceptional battle against like Leon and that and after like losing to Leon for after like announce her retirement in front of like the entire surround at that point might have been like India's plans definitely at that point definitely remember the Emerald so definitely. And today, when deciding to like Qatar might also have to do with like India not wanting like and as like a champion, like India might have had that insecurity where like she might have not wanted like her to basically that get overpowered and like get replaced by someone else as like the champion with like another trainer like totally overpowering and defeating her and proving to be like stronger than her and ending up replacing her as like the champion. That might have been like the last thing India might have wanted due to like India possibly having that heat security with India certainly so like instead like they might have decided to like take that retirement from like from Pokemon battling and everything and like totally self-flexible and then like he's like only focusing on her like archaeology stuff and everything and like focus full time on some archaeological stuff and for that and so actually due to that reason like he's like retiring from like Pokemon battles and everything and then like rejecting and giving up on her like championship title as well like of like the champion of like as well that might have been like India's plans definitely on premise. So like I'm going to get that point after the against I might have been also like straight away might have been also still assuming that basically like that she would definitely be able to like defeat Ash, and like it will be like the only thing that ends in just mind at that point would be like her ultimate requirement fight against like Leon is definitely not the ambition. But like I'm like in the case of like, and that might be the reason for like my contribution that like once like Ash was down to his like last performance with like Lucario and like Cynthia had both her like targets as well as like her draft. At that point, like India might have wanted to like not to make things like due to like India's lack of concept might be the reason that India might have wanted to like it feels like India might have been definitely planning on like this to like once she reaches like she might have been to assume that she would reach like Leon and like in that ultimate final championship battle against Leon, like India might have been planning on like once again mega evolving her face and like what I think they might have wanted to like like make up mega Gapdom fight that ultimate battle against like the ultimate gigantic stuff out of like Leon of the Rainbow. So like that might have been like that absolute performance of like a fight like with like her mega Gapdom that facing up against like Leon like gigantic stuff and like to give that audience that absolute like performance like of like an ultimate battle before like India's retirement after like losing to like Leon might have been like India's plans definitely remember from this point of view India might have been absolutely suffering along might have had like the certain kind of like a feeling that basically have mega Laksham will definitely not be strong enough to be able to like defeat like the undefeated Leon's like gigantic stuff but remember the emergency like this might have been like India's ultimate plan so like it might be the reason for like India might have been out of her or confidence like when Ash was stuck in her battle against Ash when Ash was down to her Lucario and India had her objectives as well as like as well as her Garchomp like at that point India might have not wanted to like make things look monotonous with like India already having like Mega Evolve on Garchomp in like the Masters Age fight in the extremely bottom Masters Age fight against like Iris like they might have not wanted to like make things look monotonous for like the crowd. So like as India out of her confidence might have decided to like basically instead like Gigantamax I mean, like Dynamax has targeted in her fight against like Ash when Ash was down to his like last on the target, who was like already struggling against like Doggy, which is certainly my 300. So like this might be how like the black overconfidence of X India might have been what might have totally simply backfire in her battle against Ash with like Ash with like look Mega Lucario finally defeating both like the Dynamax targets as well as Adaptome might have been what might have happened that can it's definitely my personal theory and prediction that I'm still thinking on. And so like my thing, the impression were that Cynthia decision to like not retire. Like Cynthia taking the decision to like changing back her decision and deciding to like not retire after like losing to like act like the master race might have been due to like Cynthia maybe after like losing to act like Cynthia might have maybe came to like the realization that like Cynthia is uh like uh being like Cynthia might have felt that like she's like being like overconfident on a lot of like situations in like when it comes to like Pokemon battles and all she's like over assuming a lot of stuff and she's might have been along the line like Cynthia might have when like Cynthia might have never expected us to like defeat India, but like once that as well happened, like on top of that, like India might have felt the same with like her battle against Iris as well. And with like Iris as well, like totally putting Cynthia on the edge and like Cynthia might have totally felt that she was like on the verge of like about to like lose to Iris and that might be the total support like Cynthia not allowing Iris to like not boldly facing like the dream of like Iris's like actor because like Cynthia might have only been afraid that like her Mega Jones might not be able to like dodge like the Zeno because like Mega Garchomp might have been far too exhausted by then, like after like fighting off against like the hackers of like Aerosus, definitely remember the so like basically they might have like remembered back and like all these incidents and they might have came to like the conclusion that basically she's like over assuming a lot of stuff and that things are not the way that she's like uh straight away assuming might be along the lines like India might have felt so like I'm something like India who might have like had the intent of like fighting and losing one fighting Leon and like once she loses to like Leon for then for like India to like retire like that very India after like losing to Ash like India might have really felt that basically she's like overcoming a lot of stuff like basically the way she assumes stuff like that necessarily doesn't have to be like the way things eventually have to like end up might be along the lines India might have already felt. So like I'm from India that way might have came to like the decision to like not retire and instead like to train even harder, like put even more an effort into like training into like even like while India might have only assumed that like that India has reached her limit, like India might have after losing to act like India might have felt that basically she might be assuming that as well that she has reached her limits, that like there might be like skills and levels of strength that in India that that's even far superior than the current levels of strength and skills that India currently possesses. It's about which like India just might not be aware of and instead assuming that like the such and level of strength, superior levels of strength doesn't exist. It might be along the lines like India might have friends. And this might be how like India finally taking the decision to like changing the decision and taking the decision to like not retire after her loss defeat against like Ash like the master base is definitely my personal injury and correction right now. Okay, so like definitely my correction right now as for like the news readers of like the Pokemon World Championship news right now. Once again, like praising Cynthia and giving the spotlight to Cynthia during like the current situation where Cynthia is like already eliminated from like the Master Eight and like the only two remaining like the Master Eight is like Leon and Ash. And even in like the battle against like between like while reviewing like the battle between Ash and Cynthia, still like them like most likely mistakenly like giving all the spotlight and importance once again to like Cynthia right now and talking about like Cynthia by talking about like Cynthia's like key judgment right now. Basically in like deciding to like Dynamax her target instead of like mega evolving her Garchomp. Like the video like it could be also due to like the new readers might also having like absolutely not much of a, like an idea when it comes to like or knowledge when it comes to like Pokemon battling and definitely remember especially since like Cynthia my consideration is that like definitely should like Cynthia like Garchomp in fact her case Pokemon and on top of that like since like Garchomp has like fast ground type, fast dragon and fast ground type, since there's like that ground type in like Cynthia's Garchomp and so that like mega evolving Cynthia's Garchomp case Pokemon Garchomp that only enhances like the ground type moves of like Cynthia's like mega Garchomp and since like Lucario being like a mega Lucario being like a fighting and steel type is like totally weak to like ground type moves, you know. So basically Cynthia's decision to like basically Cynthia taking the decision instead of like mega evolving her Garchomp and that way creating that absolute advantage of like a situation for like Cynthia to like bring down like as of like Lucario. Instead of that, like Cynthia taking the decision to like Dynamax her Togekiss and while like Togekiss is like a flying as well as like a fairy type, like both flying and fairy type attacks like having absolutely no advantage at all against like fighting and steel type as like Lucario. And on top of that, since like Togekiss is like a flying type that so that like flying it would be easier for like a flying type like Togekiss. While it would be like totally easier for like a flying type like Togekiss in its like normal form to like basically dodge like the fighting type attacks of like Lucario. Yet like since they are taking the decision to like Dynamax like the Togekiss her Togekiss and that way like making the Togekiss like an easy target, that way also turning to them that way becoming like an easier and extremely easy target for like Lucario to like land it attack on. And yet even after like all those like basically the news readers right now talking about like that judgment of like Cynthia to like instead of not mega evolving her costume, like Cynthia deciding to like Dynamax her circuit as like a clean judgment will be solely due to like that news readers like lacking that any sort of like a knowledge or like when it comes to like Pokemon battle, might be like the reason is definitely one of the temperature. Also definitely one of the temperature like in India's battle against that, like when they are taking the decision to like dynamite her Togekiss might have also been due to like such extreme overconfidence that might have been present in India, especially since like dynamic circuit would be like a larger would be like a larger and hence like an easier target for like Lucario and hence and especially like circuit like basically is like flying as well as fairy type and since like Lucario is like fighting as well as like steel type and since like steel type attacks are like super effective against like a Pokemon, a fairy Pokemon like Circus, and especially since and even then basically on top of that basically turning Dynamax Circus and turning Circus into an huge as well as that way an easy target for that very same skill type of Lucario would be solely and surely out of India extreme overconfidence. Definitely my God, the reimbursement might have been due to her extreme overconfidence. Definitely my God, Hamilton and the Pokemon World Championship new creator totally failing to recognize or realize that it is only due to their extreme lack of knowledge in Pokemon battle as well. It's definitely my best reimbursement. Okay, so definitely going to reimbursement right now with the current poster reveal basically the fifth member team of not only Ash but Leon as well right now being revealed. I'm also still definitely I'm in that when Ash finally faces off against Leon in the ultimate championship that at that point of the I'm a surprise totally a surprise a twist totally waiting for Ash at that point. It's the scenario that I was saying. And was going for that final definitely I'm looking Leon would be out of the six revealed Pokemon, which would be so six Pokemon of Leon would be the Pokemon that Leon might have used through just for championship league championship tournament to make all the way into making it to the Masters 8 and even progressing through the Masters 8 until the latest semi-final battle of Leon against against TMs as well, I'm referring to it might have been this exact Pokemon in the post up right now. That also recent Leon as well as that revealed in that poster those six Pokemon of Leon might have been the exact six Pokemon that Leon might have used this entire throughout Leon's entire journey in the Pokemon World Championship. Even all the way towards the semi-final, especially on the president. But as for Leon's final in Leon's final battle in the championship world championship tournament against as that is Amber significance of championship would be the test would be most likely definitely Leon's Pokemon itself would be internet as well Amber as for Leon's this number thing I'm definitely putting definitely Charizard as well as Dragapult as well as the three starters Amber the three starter Pokemon of Galar region which right now revealed to be part of Leon's its member team Labo as well as Inteleon as well as his company as well as everything to be present while Leon will be facing off against Ash. And it will be the only other Pokemon that other single other Pokemon in Leon's this member Pokemon team that's right now revealed that Pokemon alone is what I'm referring to would be the Pokemon that would be a replace that I'm referring to the replace with Eternal especially member favorites. So all the remaining Pokemon in the poster that now revealed of Leon's this member team, all the other Pokemon would definitely be the very same Pokemon that Leon would be using in his battle against Ash in the final scenario that I'm looking at. So and I'm still thinking of my birthday ritual that Eternal Leon will be sending out as this first Pokemon against Ash. That first Pokemon itself will be Eternal certainly my definitely impression. So I was looking Ash as well totally seeing the poster and Ash as well totally expecting assuming that way totally expecting those exact six Pokemon of Leon is and that revealed through the posters which will be the only Pokemon that which will be the exact Pokemon that Leon will be using in his final battle against Ash would be along the lines of an assumption that I'm bring Ash to make and Ash to totally expect, but I'm assuming it will be that absolute twist for Ash as well as the entire audience watching the finals between Ash and Leon, as well as the news readers and the commentators for everyone Leon bringing that ultimate twist with Leon sending out his as if the Pokemon that Leon would be at that point sending out as if first Pokemon to face up against Ash's first Pokemon would be Eternate. It's given the scenario that I'm looking at my first mention right now. Also, definitely have a reimbursement right now as for the Pokemon World Championship news read of right now that facing India talking about India's team judgment in her decision to Dynamax approaches instead of Mega Wolf, her eight last domain so that so just could use the match where frame attack to increase its speed into that against Lucario. I'm looking definitely either the news readers might actually be wrong and that basically it might have been only Lex India or confidence because of Lex India having two Pokemon remaining. That only offers clear thing that Lex India, even if Tokyo, Dynamax Tokyo Spain, the Garchomp would be defeating the mechanical area. That overconfidence might be that's like one possibility that I'm looking. The second possibility that I'm looking is Cynthia might have been the news readers might their theory might actually be right, and Cynthia might have actually thought that genuinely believed that basically dynamizing her sockets and turning her sockets into an extremely large and extremely easy target for the Mega Lucario as to be able to land it to super effective steel type moves against against her dynamic sockets at the expense of basically taking the in exchange for basically a few in exchange for one or two max screen attack and that speeding which when in actuality even before dynamaxing even without dynamaxing the rocket India's rocket since it's a flying type it was generally half for Lucario to land its attack against the flying targets with precision. It's definitely my very ambition. So India probably naively might have made the extreme decision of basically risking taking the super effective steel side attack from Lucario against the dynamic large and huge token, which won't be able to launch at that point at the expense of increasing its speed a few stages to through the maximum stream attack might have been what India might have actually done according and that's the other possibility that way the news readers theory about India as why India dynamics are closes in her battle against and that theory of the news readers be actually being what might have happened and what might have gone through India's mind and what might have been India's strategy in behind dynamics in her process is the other possibilities that and the difference. It will be either one of these two possibilities as what might have happened back then. So it's definitely my consideration. So yeah. Okay, so definitely I'm very person right now as for the Pokemon World Championship news readers right now while detailing out each aspect of Pokemon of Ash right now in only in the case of Tracker alone them not having much data when it comes to the details of Tracker alone showing footages of Tracker battling the master race other than just them say and talking about Dracoche being a hardworking Pokemon them having not much data at all about Dracoche might be due to them not knowing anything much at all about Dracos only because I'm even while the Pokemon World Championship is taking place in Windon Stadium, which is in the Galar region. And so yeah, I'm looking for the news readers, but I'm looking the news readers might not be from the Galar region. They might be I'm looking for the news readers that are talking about each other as they are talking about all this revealing all this, showing all the footages and talking about the footages and everything. These two news readers might be from generation one or might be from generation four or from the past old generation. So they might have not. This might be the first time they might have even shown up to the Galar region, certainly my memory. So they might not at all be even aware of Galar Pokemon at all. Certainly my so yet for them to be able to say so much about surface and detail out about surface so much might be due to them maybe both of them being from the first region first generations region from the Kanto region certainly member friends. So they might know Farfetch they might know a lot about Farfetch. So that might be the reason for them having all the data when it comes to as other Pokemon, since the majority of as Pokemon from the older generation, and them being able to talk so much and have all the data about all the other Pokemon of Ash might be to this region while them not having much data at all and them only being able to say that Raikou is just a hardworking Pokemon and them having not much of data at all when it comes to Raikou alone might be due to this reason. It's definitely my opinion. Okay, so definitely the picture I'm mentioning right now was the Pokemon World Championship news readers right now as they detailing out each of the Pokemon and and right now talking about Dragonite them giving so much emphasis as for aerial battles and as for beyond Pokemon being strong, beyond being strong when it comes to aerial battles and everything so definitely I would mention that that might be like a foreshadowing to like an actual aerial battle happening during like the adversity on battle, final battle, like the scenario that I'm looking for. Right now, my framework is just for like an aerial battle between like Dragonite and like Ash's Dragonite and Leon's Dracopult in like the final battle. This is like the scenario that I'm looking, and in that aerial battle, I'm looking for like it would be like right now, I'm looking like in that aerial battle, I'm looking for like Ash's Dragonite like struggling its way into like to infinite only or scoring and defeating Leon's Dracopult like training engine scenario that I'm looking. But like I'm looking by the time Dragonite will be defeating Leon's like Dracopult, like I'm Dragonite it will be like a kind of like it gets off the like the scenario that I'm looking, and I'm looking at that point it is like Leon is most likely sending out just like his Pokemon Charizard at that point, just remember the reason. But like I'm looking definitely Leon definitely not giant American like Charizard at that point, and instead like I'm looking like another aerial battle between like Ash and Dragonite versus like Leon's Charizard of like the scenario that I'm looking in which like Leon's Charizard like easily only overpowering and defeating like Ash's Dragonite. Just like also like in the scenario that I'm looking and as soon as like Charizard will be defeating Dragonite like I'm looking Leon straight away falling back just like Charizard is also like an eventual possible scenario that I'm looking and the next time Leon would be sending out to like Charizard will be most likely when Leon as well as Ash will be like down to their last Pokemon. It's definitely going to be. So like at that point it would be like a Charizard versus like Pikachu battle. It's like in the final showdown fight of like a scenario that I'm looking. Yes, sir, like the place of the reimbursement right now that like in like Leon that's against Ash in like the final and the clear thing it would be like Leon's like Mr. In like Leon's like 6 member Pokemon team and like it would be separately like Leon's like the stuff Rhyme Pokemon like which is like I think like it's like a Galarian version of like Mr. Mime like I'm looking like it would be like Mr. Rhyme it's like the Pokemon that I'm also like Leon would be replacing with like Sigurd uh, in like Leon Pat like in like the scenario that I'm looking right now. So like the name of the reimbursement right now as for like the Pokemon World Championship news reel right now talking about like how Leon's team is like this member team is not balanced with like Leon having both like Charizard as well as Company, both of them but being like far types like so like I'm looking right now like maybe a remote possibility that like basically Leon might have only done that one purpose to like basically give that ultimate surprise to like the audience in like the final of like that year, like championship as since like it would be roughly that year that like Leon might have got his like internet like from that definitely to like basically give the audience that ultimate surprise with like bringing internet to like fight alongside Leon in like the final might be like the reason for like in like that year like Leon's like in the current years like master in like the current years like Pokemon World Championship like Leon deciding to like basically put the like 6 member team as like the team as like a team where like there are two fire type Pokemon like on top of like Charizard like they are being swapped in as well. It's also like a possibility that I'm looking so like a remote possibility that I'm looking for in like Leon's battle against like Ash in like the finals, like I'm looking for maybe like Leon deciding to like maybe like Leon like replacing Score Money with like internet is also like a remote possibility that I'm looking for the bring and of the range. Okay, so like the Leon episode right now and for like Leon right now before like Leon's like ultimate final championship battle against like Ash like Leon right now feeling this tension and remembering that the past of his like childhood when he had his like first Pokemon battle against the like that girl might not have been shown yet. And in that first batch of Leon, Leon might have totally lost and might have been defeated by so many definitely remember the same issue. So like Leon, like the whole thing about like Leon being this like undefeated like champion and all that would be like an absolute lie. It's definitely remember the same. Like Leon would be totally hiding that absolute secret. With about which like only Sonia might be and the only other person that would be aware of would be like Sonia and Sonia alone is definitely remember the same. So like Sonia might have been like the first trainer that like first person that Leon might have had like the like very first Pokemon battle against, and in that battle like Leon might have lost to like Sonia. It's definitely my impression, and that loss of Leon to like Sonia might have been like a major critical factor in like Leon as well as like Sonia. Even to the present being such great friends, definitely my impression. So like back then when Leon, when like the child Leon like might have lost like Sonia, like Leon might have maybe even cried in front of Sonia. It's also like a possibility that I'm suffering. Yet like I'm suffering like since then like Leon might have tried seriously hard. And I'm suffering it might have been since then like Leon and then Leon might have had like a real battle against like Sonia and then like in the second battle like that Leon might have had against like Sonia, Leon might have defeated Sonia and since then like Leon might have never lost not even one in his life. And that way, like initially might have made all the way to like even becoming like the undefeated champion Leon. But like even to the present day, Leon will be hiding that absolute secret from everybody that basically that while like the entire world called Leon like the undefeated champion, like still deep down Leon will be having that kind of like a slight disturbance with the thing because like my reservation that like it might be like an absolute lie because like Leon might also not be like not actually be like the undefeated champion. Like Leon might have definitely like the past like Leon might have been defeated in like Leon's like first Pokemon battle and that might have been against like Sonia and like since like Sonia might have been like an would be like such an absolute great front of like Leon like Sonia might have also totally kept it hidden from everyone like and then like it will be just like the secret between like Sonia and Leon alone, especially my personal dream. And so like but the direction right now it's for like Leon right now before facing Ash like and Leon right now feeling the tension and they also remembering like that child memory of like him facing against his girl like which would definitely be Sonia could remember the memory and Leon having this like memory happening right now along with the tension would be most likely due to Leon right now feeling getting that feeling that like of like the possibility of that history like possibly repeating in like Leon's battle against and certainly because like somewhere as might be that reminding Leon of like Sonia back during like Sonia's like childhood. Uh, Sonia and Leon like childhood like back then like how Sonia was like about something that then had might be reminding Leon of like Sonia back then. Definitely and like Leon's like defeat against Sonia back then is definitely my impression. So like right now as Leon is about to face off against as like Leon might get or make face on having that fear deep down within for within him for like the first time since like losing to like Sonya back then like after all these years passing like it would be like the first time that like Leon would be actually feeling that fear that he might have had while facing off against Sonya in like Leon's like very first battle in his life in which like Leon might have lost like Sonya's definitely Leon right now would be having that very same fear definitely my contribution and definitely able to like that we have to definitely have like a certain to a certain extent that we have to totally have like a role in like affecting Leon's like performance in his like battle against Ash. But like about when like Leon usually getting over and at like the battle between Leon and Ash will be progressing. And yet like by then like it would be too late and like by then like like Ash totally or indicating Leon is like the scenario that I'm so like the secret, my brother mentioned that like there will be this ultimate secret that Leon might have lost like Sonia, like the past, which like Leon will be hiding from like the rest of the world. And Leon will be absolutely afraid of that they repeating like that days of like the past, like repeating again in like the future, like Leon will be always deep down having that absolute fear. Not always, but right now as Leon is about to face off against as like Leon right now will be getting that feeling and like that of that absolute fear of that history of like Leon's defeat against Sonia, like repeating in like Leon's like battle against like Leon might have had that fear for the first time after all these great number of years. Right now, definitely what might be happening is definitely not the impression right now. Also, the Leon was the impression right now and for like the other people that able to experience that especially since like Leon right now is like feeling that tension before it's like battle against as like I was bringing this tension so something in like turning into like a fierce fear within like Leon and Leon totally fearing like the possibility of like him totally losing to like act and like the possibility like him like losing to act in like the final in like the championship battle and basically that way like just like it thought image that like Leon would have totally created of like him being like this undefeated great undefeated champion is might be what because like I couldn't remember the name of the that first battle that Leon might have had in his life that Leon might have lost to certain members and Leon being that hidden and might have built up this like image that that he's like the ultimate like undefeated champion. So like that image like totally getting destroyed and getting crushed through like Leon's through like Leon's defeat against like Ash would be along the lines like Leon would be only fearfully feeling before Leon's battle against Ash. It's also like a public that and that resulting in like Leon in order to like maximize in order to like maximize the like chance of like defeating Ash like numbers from like Leon deciding to like basically replace this like for bunny with like eternity like at the last minute just like also like a possibility that I'm in that way like for bunny like with like Leon's team having like two fire types like that possibly becoming eventually ending up becoming like a foreshadowing to like basically like Leon basically ending up like replacing this like for bunny with like eternity and like basically like sending out eternity as like first Pokemon in this like final championship ultimate battle against like Leon sending out Eternal as like first Pokemon. It's like the also like the other possibilities that I'm looking for the ring and my friend.